So MotherFan Dan is here, folks.
Yeah,
So
I'm here.
So MotherFan, which is an important question we ask all our guests.
Yeah, I prepared for this. I know the question because you
can enter the realm.
Uh-huh.
You must answer this.
So these questions 3.
What are your number 3 top 3 girlfriends for Ted?
Top 3 girlfriends for Ted. Well, I know yours. I do follow the podcast. I think Crazy Eyes.
Crazy Eyes?
Yeah. That wasn't even the right person.
That was Marshal's girlfriend, but no, I like it.
No.
Go on.
Well, she was very good in Deadpool, so
yeah.
Let's see, who else? Who's the one in this episode that Ted's really worked up over?
Victoria.
Victoria, yeah. I think I give her number 2 spot.
Number 2, okay.
And then
so Crazy Eyes was 3 or 1?
3.
Okay,
no,
all right.
No,
okay.
I'm leading up to it.
That's the bronze and the silver.
And then, Lily.
Lily. Yeah.
She's the perfect girlfriend. I
Yeah.
mean, the whole show
Like your mom
showcases Lily.
We watched 2 different shows.
Which one's Lily again?
The different haired girl.
The different hair girl. Yeah, the one who's different hair every year.
Red-headed Tracy.
This is HIMYM Superfans. Hey there, Chris Venezia.
Hello, James Hamilton. And also, hello, MotherFan Dan.
Hello.
Hey, mother
Thanks
fan.
for having me.
Glad you're here, buddy.
Awesome.
And welcome to all our other mother fans out there. This is the show where we change our personality to fit in with CBS comedy, How I Met Your Mother.
And this week especially, the 3 of us are going to ruin the show for you.
By ruin it, of course we mean we're going to spoil plot points for the entire series, MotherFan Dan.
So even though right now we're only planning on doing the first season, we will have spoilers for the rest of this show. So if you don't want to know that the ninja seen wandering the halls of G&B in Season 4 is defeated by an actual Sasquatch that was also wandering the halls, then maybe come back to this podcast once you've watched the whole series.
Wow, that was like weirdly specific.
Yes. They're getting more and more specific as we go on.
So on this episode, we're going to talk about life among the gorillas, a.k.a. Dr. Birdbath Vaseline. This is episode 17 of the first season, if you want to join us after this. Originally aired March 20th of 2006, written by show creators Craig Thomas and Carter Bays.
And this one is directed by Pam Fry Man.
Turns out it's man.
That was totally anthropological.
It was, yes, meaning about man, the study of man. Maybe it doesn't mean that. I probably shouldn't guess. So anyway, Dan, welcome.
Thank you.
So we asked you to join us on this podcast because we're coming down to the end of the first season.
You're running out of ideas.
We've run out of ideas. And we're desperate for viewers, and we thought, why not get a celebrity guest?
Yeah,
so,
right.
your
The celebrity part is a little off, but I'm here, and I'm different.
Well, Ashley Williams was scheduled, but she had to cancel.
Yeah,
You're one of our best friends, and we're so glad that you're joining us for the podcast. And we're going to bust your balls a little bit. We want you to join in on busting our balls or our apple bags, and just have some fun tonight.
That sounds excellent.
All right. So in this episode, Ted struggles with his long distance relationship while Marshall tries to fit in his new job. Lily is frustrated with Marshall's change of personality.
Right, and to set this up, Victoria has been in Germany for about a month. Marshall has recently started working for Ultracell, a.k.a. Barney Corp.
Yep.
So, James, what was most memorable for you?
Definitely seeing Barney's office for the first time. That was where we had the buttload of motivational posters.
Yep.
One of them is for awesomeness.
It's
like 4 F-16s doing flying formation. So that is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I really liked his office. I would love to have his office. Who wouldn't?
There's a lot of like expensive stuff in there too. Like it's got this really sort of like rich feel. Like he's even got magazine holders on the wall that look like they cost several $1,000s, and all they do is hold magazines.
They built some extra sets for this episode, and Barney's office is so beautiful and unique. It makes me think, is this their yay, we made it past 13, blowing their extra wad of money, episode?
Right, yeah. They got picked up for the whole season, so why not?
Yeah. Chris, you want to do your memorable moment, and then we'll go to MotherFan?
Yeah, but unfortunately for this episode, the most memorable part of this episode to me is actually the cliffhanger ending, where Robin calls Ted asking him to come over at 2 a.m., and then we don't know why she's calling. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of stuff happens in this episode, but, like, to me, that's the most important part.
That's what you remember, is it starts one of the more critical episodes.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing good happens after 2 a.m.
MotherFan?
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. For me, it's Snap-a-doo. Marshal's fake story to fit in with the gorillas. Excellent moment. He sort of takes on a new persona, but he doesn't quite get there. That's what I love about it. He's not very convincing as a gorilla, but it's very funny. What is Snap-a-doo? It's
Snap-a-doo!
He's trying a new thing. It's like when he gets caught up in a lie, he doesn't even know what to do with his hands.
Right.
It's very fitting for Marshall, and also it's offset from what you'd think a lawyer character to be. And I like him trying to fit into situations that he's uncomfortable with.
Yeah, we haven't seen him in an uncomfortable situation, and it kind of humbles him. It makes him a more rounded character. They're clearly going for a little bit more Marshall in this episode. He'll become a very big part of the series later on, along with the entire cast. But so far, it's been sort of the Ted show, and this is sort of a turning point for the rest of the characters, I think. So it begins with future Ted telling the kids that when Marshall was 10, he was learning about Dr. Aurelia Bernholtz Vasquez, an anthropologist that lived with the gorillas for many years. She visited a community college near Marshall and told him that all the gorillas would be dead before he'd get a chance to live with the gorillas as well, which was like his dream as a kid, and that's sort of what motivates him at the beginning of the episode.
Right. We haven't gotten to see Marshall yet as the guy who wants to save the planet, so they're going to introduce that right now, and they're going to say why. Otherwise, the gorillas are going to be dead.
Right.
So we get that out of the way real quickly early in this episode, and that will be a theme of his that follows him throughout the rest of the series.
They're using a reference here to Jane Goodall, actual real-life anthropologist who did similar work, living with chimpanzees, studying social and family life. Main thing I remember from Jane Goodall was a Gary Larson cartoon from The Far Side.
Yeah.
Where it's female chimp picking through the hair of her mate, and another blonde hair. I see you've been spending time with that Jane Goodall tramp. And there was actually controversy surrounding that the Jane Goodall Institute,
they didn't like that?
They didn't like it.
They didn't like
it. Cease and desist. Turns out Jane Goodall actually appreciated the joke, thought it was funny, and had them backtrack on whatever the lawyers were doing.
I did not know that. That is amazing. Jane Goodall's dressed exactly like Dr. Birdbath Vaseline, so I can see the obvious comparison there.
Yeah.
So in 2006, Marshall is getting ready for his first day at Barney Corp. He's had his interview, but apparently he hasn't even started working there, even though it's been almost a month.
Well, yeah. Lily makes him a sack lunch and giggles at the word sack, another reference to their appreciation of childlike humor. I really like this. It makes them adorkable.
Adorkable?
They're adorkable.
So, also later in the episode, Barney and Marshall will laugh at Beaver.
Yeah. 2 beavers are better than 1.
Or so they say.
Twice the fun. As Marshall is leaving, he's interrupted by one of Victoria's care packages at the door.
And how is there a package there that early? Like, this is morning, right? Like, did the post office deliver it early, or, like, did UPS? Because neither one of them have ever delivered anything to me, like, before 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, clearly Victoria is paying that extra money for the morning delivery, so just to make Ted feel more like a jerk.
Well, it's, later on, he can't send the package as if like he's trying to come up with ways to trick her into thinking that he sent it on time. There is no way to do that. I mean, it's actually illegal to mess with the post office in that way.
Actually fraud.
Yeah. So, there was an SNL sketch or something. I actually couldn't find it. I spent a little time looking for it, but it was basically a delivery service where it's like UPS or FedEx, but you say that you want it to have been delivered a week ago. Send it out, and then they like drive over it with trucks, and it'll show up when it shows up, but it looks like, did you get the package? No, I didn't get the package. I finally got it. Yeah, now I understand why it was late. It's ruined.
Right, got roughed up.
But you pay a little extra for that service to pretend like you sent it on time.
Yes.
Maybe Ted should have thought of that one.
Yeah.
So at Barney Corp, Barney gets a call from Willis in lobby security.
Willis in lobby security.
Warning him of a Sasquatch loose on his floor.
But actually the call is from Marshal, and this is where Jason Segel gets to do his Sasquatch walk that he tried to get into a previous episode. They wouldn't let him do it.
Is it the OK Awesome?
Yeah, the club.
What was he trying to do it for?
Just to show off his Sasquatch walk.
I can do a Bigfoot.
Well, when he was walking out of the alley, like after he jumped out of the third-story window, allegedly, and then like walking to go get a cab, like in the alley, but like they cut that.
Oh.
Yeah.
So like we were talking about earlier, Barney's office is really swanky. He's got like expensive stuff everywhere. Like the desk looks like way fancier than it needs to be. It's like
glass and wood together.
Yeah. We don't get to find out what he does because Marshall comes in the office and all we get is please. So
yeah, it's nice that they started please in the first season. There's another please in this episode later on.
So Blauman and Bilson come in.
These two jerks.
Yeah, and they give Marshall a hypothetical like right away, right off the bat. Let's get to work. So it ultimately boils down to whether or not he would rather sleep with Jessica Alba or Jessica Simpson.
When Marshall protests that he's engaged, Bilson says that Lily's out of town. Marshall still protests. And then Lily's getting hit by a bus. She's dead. Has been added to the hypothetical.
And this is within 60 seconds of meeting the character Bilson.
Yeah, but more importantly, Chris, is this 2006 Jessica Alba or 1999 Jessica Alba?
What difference?
It better not be 2016.
So maybe you'd have an answer for Bilson.
I would. Bilson could not been made more clearly the villain if he was smoking a cigarette while punching a baby. Unless maybe he was also like stepping on a woman, just stepping on her.
Did the baby have it coming?
No.
So this is a little heavy-handed that they make Bilson so unlikable right out of the gate.
Yes.
Well, can I bust your apple bags?
Yeah.
Which would you pick for either of you? Based on what you know of what Bilson's saying, there you go. Which Jessica?
Actually, I like them both. Hey, can I work it out to where I get both of them if I'm just going to be piggish?
Well, see, that's how I view it. It's like, there's not enough information here.
Maybe that's the challenge that Bilson wants to know. It's like, what's his analytical thinking?
Yeah, it's actually structured very well for a business. Like, these questions are meaningful. And it's a question. It's kind of like, when you go into a job interview, they're going to ask you some off-the-wall questions, but it's more about how you think through the question to come up with your answer than the actual answer.
Yeah. So Ted and Robin are back to hanging out.
Right. This is the first time they've hung out, just the two of them on camera since he started dating Victoria. And I didn't go back and check, but really the last time that they spent time together alone on camera was probably before Stuart and Claudia's wedding, which was many weeks ago at this point.
Yeah, so Ted's just there stuffing his face with cupcakes, telling Robin his woes.
Yeah, so he tells Robin that he called Victoria and left her a message. During the voicemail, he's eating her cupcakes and making like happy munching sounds. But he tells Victoria that he sent a care package a few days before. He says that it's awesome.
Really, really awesome.
Which I'm really glad made another appearance in the show, because I liked that when Marshall did it earlier in the season in Sweet Taste of Liberty.
So Ted charges Robin with how to fix this while he stuffs more cupcakes in his big stupid face. So you work on that, I'm going to work on this cupcake. I love that line.
So she suggests a care package with a New York theme. An MP keychain, H&H Bagels, New York Times, dated 3 days ago. Ted might be able to lie, but like we were talking about, the postmark won't.
Yeah. For me, this is one of those moments where it's very, I don't know, it just sets up Ted as the side of the relationship that's not trying very hard. This entire episode, he feels a little bit like, what do I really want to be in this relationship for? Kind of a split decision, or split second decision when they went into a long distance relationship.
Yeah.
And neither of them were very clear on whether they wanted it.
Yeah.
And I think this is the moment. He's getting the care packages, he's loving them, but then he's not doing anything to reciprocate. And that's bad relationship for him. If you are getting and not giving, you're kind of phoning it in.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Ted needs to step up his game.
Yeah, but it's like he's not going to. It's almost like a pity party kind of thing. Like, woe is me! I got another box of cupcakes. I can't send anything.
Yeah.
I can't do anything about it. I guess I'll just eat.
Yeah.
And discuss his face.
And it's clever writing because it kind of loopholes Ted a little bit into the fact, like, now he's already made a mistake and he's trying to solve that problem just of the one mistake. Like, oh, I said I should have sent. I told her I sent a care package when I didn't. Now he's behind. He's got to make up for it. When the real problem is that he didn't think to send the care package to begin with. And now he's focused on the one thing that he didn't do. And he's always, throughout this episode, trying to make up for it. It's like, I'm just behind the curve, and she's doing a better job in this relationship. At least as far as care packages are concerned.
Yeah, she is. And
he's doing a better job of lying.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. But we'll get to, I have a crazy theory later about Victoria and her care packages. But first...
Well, Ted finds some irony in Robin helping him with Victoria when he used to go to Lily and Marshall for advice on how to impress Robin.
Uh-huh.
And Ted makes it a little awkward by explaining it. And by explaining it, I mean he keeps talking about it, clarifying the point that has already been made. It's like repeating or repetitively commenting on the irony. The irony that the girl that he used to like.
So the irony is not lost on Robin, but she's really short with Ted about it. And like he picks up on it. He looks like he's been scolded by her. It's kind of funny. He's like,
Well, she's been kind of quick to react. I mean, in Cupcake, she's very quick to react to what Victoria's saying.
Yeah, it's downright mean.
And then tries to play it off later. So, it seems like what Robin would do.
Yeah, at least for the last 2 months of, this show, like where they're at. Like, this is the new Robin. She snaps at people.
Yeah.
And maybe if Ted was more perceptive to that, he'd figure it out on the spot.
Well, did you think he explained how it was ironic enough?
It is pretty ironic.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like rain on your wedding day.
Yeah.
So Marshall comes home from his first day at work and tells Lily that the guys he works with are jerks.
Yeah. I like Jason's performance here. He does the look of a sad, angry child really well. He's got his head down. He kind of flinches his arms and kicks his feet, and the inflection of his voice goes up, and it's like, the guys I've worked with are a bunch of jerks.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it.
Right, I don't want to talk about it.
And he immediately talks about it. And I don't want to talk about it.
Like a little boy.
Yeah.
So Lily tells him that the job is not worth it if he's unhappy, so he should just quit.
Yeah. Cut to Marshall and Barney at McLaren's, and Marshall saying, I quit.
Right. And Barney convinces Marshall that he should continue working at Ultracell, not for himself, but for Lily, because providing for her the best quality of life should be Marshall's goal.
Yeah, and there's this whole thing about the whole package. You got to get the house, the car, and you got to have a big package. Turns out Marshall thinks that Lily wants a huge package.
We'll get back to Marshal's huge package later, but
morning delivery on that package.
Barney comes full circle there.
It's a little late. It's been run over a few times. He'll show up eventually.
So Barney convinces Marshall, and the next day Marshall tries to play along with Bilson's bizarre sexual hypotheticals.
Yeah.
We don't get to hear the whole thing, but it was definitely a Golden Girls question, and apparently picking B. Arthur was not the correct answer to Bilson.
I forgot that the part was, and all four of them are naked. Which one do you pick and go? Because I was thinking that this was obviously some sort of question about the zombie apocalypse and which Golden Girl would be the best to help you survive. In this case, Betty White is obviously correct answer.
Right, but they're also naked during the zombie apocalypse, apparently.
Well, if that's your only problem...
We got a lot of problems here.
And the zombie apocalypse is a naked old woman.
Well, because Betty White,
pretty well.
Betty White is the only living Golden Girl right now. But at the time of the airing of this show, B. Arthur was still alive. But if you're saying that he included all four in his hypothetical, some of them were dead and naked, and I don't know what's happening there.
Well,
right? Yeah, I mean Bilson's kind of gross, but I don't know that he needed to go that far.
Yeah. Maybe he played by my rules, where he also named the year.
Yeah, it's like Betty White, circa 2006. B. Arthur, Estelle Getty, circa
1963.
I don't know. Right, I don't know how far back you need to go to make that okay.
I don't know how that would help in this zombie apocalypse either, but I think Betty White is a clear answer because she survived until...
She's clearly the immortal one.
Yeah, she's still going, yeah.
If there isn't a zombie apocalypse movie with Betty White as some sort of wizard in the next 24 months, I will be very disappointed.
All right, well, that'll be your next tweet. Get on
tweet at Betty White.
Don't tweet at Betty White.
Please do a movie where there's zombies and you're a magical wizard.
Yes.
Some sort of mother sorcerer.
Yes. Ted and Robin and Ted are hanging out at McLaren's again. Robin asks if Victoria liked the care package.
And she liked it.
Very small package.
But, well, I don't think they say that necessarily. But Victoria liked it, but Ted's not happy because he's falling asleep when they talk on the phone, and he says he can't stand not seeing her. Like, he hates that part of the relationship. Yeah. So he decides he's going to Germany to surprise her.
Is it a good idea?
No.
But like his point is, and we'll get back to the no. But the point is to Ted is that like this isn't how he does relationships. Like he says that he's good at them, which I'm not sure that we arguably ever get to see that. But he says that he's good at them. This isn't in his wheelhouse. It's the long distance part.
No. If he is a good boyfriend as he claims he is, and I think there are examples where he is a better boyfriend than he is some dude to date. It has not stood this test yet.
Right.
Long distance test.
So why should he not go to Germany?
Well, this is a throwback to a little bit of if I was going to be the guy who compares How I Met Your Mother to Friends, it's Ross and Emily, and it's the follow through line. It's probably if you're transposing things directly, Barney would say it instead of Joey. But Ross wants to go to London to find Emily. And he says, well, oh yeah, because you already said you love her, and she didn't say it back. Then she called you. She said she's seeing another guy. So yeah, go to London. That'll scare her.
Yeah.
And it feels very similar. It's like, no, that's not the answer right now for Ted. He needs to do a better job of doing what they're doing in their relationship. He needs to send more care packages. He needs to be more active with how they're doing things. Don't flip the switch and then show up randomly, because, yeah, he might show up and walk in on Victoria and Klaus.
Yeah, Klaus.
Klaus from her class?
Yeah.
It's going to be...
She was close with Klaus.
I mean...
Which Klaus?
The Klaus from her class. They were close.
Oh, okay.
So Barney suggests that Marshall change his entire personality to fit in.
It's so much easier.
Right. So Barney actually has some experience with this, though, changing his entire personality. So this suggestion isn't all that surprising, but I don't think it's a good suggestion.
No, you just need to go into Darth Vader mode,
right?
Like we saw 2 episodes earlier, but not actually good advice. And then Marshall is explaining this to Lily, who thinks that it's peer pressure. She allows it on the condition that Marshall promises to smoke only when he's drunk.
Right. Yes.
Same thing she tells her kindergartners.
So Marshall's saying that it's an anthropological study, like Dr. Birdbath Vaseline did with the gorillas, and tries to convince her that it's a good idea.
So Marshall goes to get gorilla lessons. And who do you get gorilla lessons from?
Barney.
So
they're at McLaren's, and it's one of those rare times when Barney has taken off his suit jacket.
Yeah.
But he still looks sharp because he has the vest on.
Yep, going with the vest. It's okay.
So they do some high-fiving to show how much they're psyched. One of the lessons,
you're psyched!
Psychitude.
Yes, he should be feeling waves of psychitude through his arm. Barney also teaches him how to bribe a guy.
Yeah, that's how you bribe a guy.
There's always a guy.
That's also in Friends, by the way.
Is it?
Well, Chandler has to bribe a guy, but no.
Chandler goes to bribe a guy and he does it wrong.
Yeah.
Like multiple times.
Constantly flubbing it. And
yeah, like, did you give him the money?
He eventually tries to bribe the child, Ben.
Okay.
Ross's son. And he does it with change or something. It all falls to the floor. Anyway.
Oh, Chandler.
It would have worked if his hands weren't so damn small.
Right, blame the kid's hands. So I would actually say that if I tried to bribe a karaoke DJ to go next, they would probably take my money, and then I'd still have to wait 2 hours to sing. Well, at least the ones around here, I like them, but I don't think that you can bribe your way to the top of the list.
Well, that's the magic of $20 bills when they become fun tickets for you, which I think is the lifestyle that Barney lives.
Okay.
Well, I've never been.
I bet you'd pass a 20 to the guy and ask to be next.
I've never been to a karaoke bar in New York. I've been to karaoke bars around here. You could probably give people 20s all the time, and it still would equate the same way. Well, now you're next in line instead of
cutting the guy off.
Yeah. Well, yeah, right, yeah, mid-song.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty rude.
Yeah.
I mean, at least Marshall knows who he did that to.
I would expect that bribe to be twice as much, if not 3 times as much as bribing to get to next in line.
Right. I mean, like
also,
you said,
be friends with the guy.
Well, right, yes, if you know the DJ.
You know DJ doesn't like the singer.
Marshall. We know that Barney has stupid money, so maybe it's not even 20s that he's, bribing people with.
Sticks?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, Benjamins, maybe one would call them.
Yeah. So I like this. At the end of his training montage, Marshall comes up with a fake story about getting kicked out of a strip club for something that involves a fake diamond ring and a woman named Svetlana.
Mm-hmm.
Thus, he gains the acceptance of the herd, yet feels a bit lost when he sees a gorilla looking back at him in the mirror.
This is that moment where I love Marshall trying to take charge of it. He's going to a strip club. Snap-a-doo.
Snap-a-doo.
And he's trying to be a little bit more like Barney is in this moment. But they have very different styles when they take on their alternate personas.
Yeah.
And I think it's nice that even Marshall never fully goes into it. I don't know of an episode where he lies that well. And
ever again?
Yeah. I mean,
no.
But this is a throwback to a scene from what I think is a reference to Reservoir Dogs, where Tim Roth's character is trying to fit in, so he has to have a story that backs up that he's one of these sort of guys. And Marshall's trying to do that. There's a lot of split cuts in the movie Reservoir Dogs where he's graduating at each step, where he's retelling it to his mentor, to himself, in the mirror, etc. And then finally comes around and he's telling it for real. And eventually we totally believe it. This show does a good job of having it not ever really be believable.
Right.
I mean, that's why I love Snap-a-Doo.
Snap-a-Doo.
Because that's not, I mean, that is before the cut. So maybe he's worked that out of his version, his final version for Blauman and Bilson. But, because that's like a red flag. It's like, who says Snap-a-Doo?
This was the middle of Tim Ross's montage?
Yeah. And I don't know. He figured out, it's like, no one says Snap-a-Doo. They say things like steak sauce.
Yeah.
Right.
Equally stupid.
Yes, right, yeah.
But you have to play
I like
to your
Snap-a-Doo
audience.
better.
No, Snap-a-Doo. I went to that strip club.
Well, I like your point about like Barney pretending versus Marshall pretending, because they are very different. Or like Barney in this world, like at Ultracell, he's really reserved. He's really subdued. Like in the gang, he's like Mr. High Five. He's Mr. Awesome. Like Mr. Up in your face. But at work, he always tries to be like under the radar, not say anything, don't make waves. But Marshall, because Bilson and Blauman are harassing him all the time, he has to be like in their face. So like Marshall, Barney's giving him lessons, but it's not on how to be more like Barney. It's how to be like a completely different person than either one of them.
Yeah, I mean, if you break down, I don't know, I guess what that story is. To me, it seems as though he went to a strip club. I don't know what happened in between. I don't know if Svetlana ever got her green card.
Right.
But it seems like he bought a fake diamond and proposed, and then just kind of let things hang in the air.
I think at that point, like, he had a fake wedding.
Yeah.
Because,
So hopefully, that's not even something Barney's done, although we do get
I think
indications
fake wedding,
very close
fake
to...
wedding is actually
Fake
in
wedding.
the bracket.
Fake
That's
wedding
in the
wins.
bracket.
Yeah.
Fake wedding totally wins.
Yeah, fake wedding goes on to the next round. Because he's that,
Well, guys, would you say that Marshall is a real chameleon in this episode?
Chameleon?
Yeah.
Chameleon.
Oh.
No, he doesn't quite get to chameleons.
It's good enough for them. But yeah, it shouldn't be. It's another one of those moments where it shouldn't work. Like the thing.
Who's buying this?
Yes, but they do, because we need to move on with the story, so they have to buy it. But I think that pretending to be someone that you don't want to be sounds like a terrible idea. I mean, maybe that's obvious, but I think that it's too likely that some of the habits that you don't want will stick, like we actually see with Marshall in this episode.
So back at the bar, Ted is discussing an email from Victoria with Robin, and Ted thinks that Victoria is calling to break up, and Robin, that's a floppity-jillion dollars that's not true. But still tells him to wait on buying that ticket to Germany.
Right, yeah, I'd wait on that. I like floppity jillion. I've said it a few times, but I can't quite get it to stick. It's like a thing that I say
with mathematicians.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
really...
well, let's call up Danica McKellar and see if we can start using floppity jillion.
Yeah.
Because she's in charge of math.
Right?
Yeah.
No, it's another good tweet to send out.
Yeah. She's in charge of math.
I believe she is. But anyway, actually, here's my crazy theory of the week. I bet that Victoria was going to break up with Ted. Victoria's been spending a lot of time with Klaus, like we've mentioned, and she feels guilty, so she sends a bunch of care packages to Ted to ease her conscience. She sends him an email about an important talk that she wants to have. I think that she's going to do the right thing, and she's going to break up with Ted, the thing that he can't or won't do in this episode, because she's the bigger person.
Or she's getting laid by Klaus in her class.
Well, she could be, but at least she's going to break up with Ted.
Yeah.
I mean, we have no idea what this email is referencing, because he never gets to have a rational conversation with her again in this season. It's my crazy theory. I don't know what else it could even be.
Well, I guess my thought is that for this episode, it is inconsequential what Victoria's thinking. Whether she's on the verge of breakup or not, Ted is on the verge of breakup. And so that's where his mindset is the entire time.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if she's calling to talk about Nutter Butters, break up, or have great news. I'm moving back next week.
Yeah.
We never get to see it, and Ted makes his choices based on where his mindset is.
Right. He's already sort of made the decision that it's not going well, regardless of this email. So, I'm moving back next week. Oops, and maybe he's waited a few more minutes. I don't think the email is good news.
So in the apartment, Marshal's making plans with the butt puppets. It's his name for Blauman and or Bilson. I don't know.
Whoever was on the phone.
But they're butt puppets. It's one of the foul words that comes out of his mouth in this conversation. And his work persona is clearly bleeding into his home life, and Lily calls him out on it when he calls one for painting steak sauce.
Right.
Not a good tip, guys.
Right. This is where we finally get our Dr. Australia Birdbath Vaseline line.
Yeah.
Lily says that Dr. Vaseline only acted like a gorilla around gorillas. When she came home, she acted like a human again. Her point is that Marshal should act like Marshal when he's at home.
Yeah, and this is where we get Marshal sort of says he's changed his mind on the guys and defends them to Lily and gets her to agree to go to karaoke. You'll see in person they're not that bad.
Right. So at the karaoke bar, the guys, Bilman and Blauman, make it awkward right away with another dirty hypothetical.
Angelina Jolie in a wheelchair.
What? I don't know why that would enhance or okay, let's just move on. I don't think we were meant to think about that one too long.
Need more information.
Right.
Once again.
So Lily walks away from the table after Marshal decides to sing Iron Man instead of his and Lily's special song, and he also accepts a job offer from them, from Blauman and Bilson, for once he graduates.
Yeah.
Instead of going to help save the planet, help the environment.
Yeah, and Marshal takes the job, and Lily's disgusted, and she goes off, and Marshal chases after her and says that he's taking the job because he wants to offer Lily the huge package.
The package is supposed to be an apartment and sending their kids to good schools and allowing Lily to quit teaching and focus on her painting.
Lily says Marshal has a huge package. Two people right next to him over here and appear to be impressed. So
I just want to throw this out here. I, for one, am glad that steak sauce, as a saying, never caught on. Seriously glad that didn't catch on.
I kind of like steak sauce, once in a long while.
Oh, okay. So, if it wasn't 100 times in this episode, it would be a little bit more palatable.
Yeah, if you take me out to dinner and we have steak, I probably won't put A1 on it. But every once in a while, maybe just a little bit. That's about as often as I want to hear people say, steak sauce! Your tie is steak sauce.
Yeah, and I hated that.
Yeah.
Well, it maybe will catch on after this podcast, unfortunately.
MotherFans, if you do that to me,
just
we're done. Don't expect a season 2 if that's what I'm going to get repaid with.
This podcast was steak sauce.
No!
I'm not going to tell you his Twitter handle, but you can figure it out.
Yeah.
Just tweet at him, steak sauce.
I'd still appreciate it. I'd appreciate the tweet.
As we roll on to Act 3 here, Ted is sitting at home waiting for the phone to ring. And he calls Robin to vent his frustration. Robin's at work. She's about ready to go on in the news.
Yep.
Robin encourages him to go out, so he does.
Right. He catches up with the rest of the gang at karaoke. Barney is singing Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap by AC/DC when he notices Ted and gives him a little point from across the room. I thought that was fun. Hey, you made it back out.
Yeah, I like that. It just showed his appreciation.
Yeah.
I think part of Ted's problem with the long-term relationship, or LDR as it is known by the kids, is that he stopped having his own life. He was too into the relationship. He could have been happier if he'd set up some rules with Victoria, but said, okay, I'm really ready to commit to this relationship, but let's try to make the distance not an issue by not radically changing our lives. I was thinking 2-hour-long calls every night seems like a lot.
Yeah, but you kind of have to do that though when you have the long distance relationship because you don't get the time in person. That's actually more valuable in my mind. I'm just going to rank that higher than like time on the phone. So you have to do more of that to feel like you've gotten as much substance out of the interaction. That's just from my personal experience. But you're right. Like they're almost spending too much time on the thing. But I think that also, like, Victoria's sending too many packages, maybe even. Like, let's say she's not, feeling guilty because she's too close with Klaus, that she's just doing... I think that she's trying to do that to save the relationship because, like, that's what you do. Like, otherwise it's just going to, fall apart naturally. Like, if you don't do the things, if you don't spend the extra effort when it's long distance, it'll just fall apart. It'll be like, oh, crap, I haven't talked to Ted in a month.
Yeah.
Oops. Well, I guess this is kind of over, right? Because naturally...
Yeah, well, I think if you committed to a weekly phone call and, text messages weren't as ubiquitous back then, I think, were they?
No. They existed.
But certainly it would be easier to, just have a little bit of interaction today with, one of our mini apps, just to sort of just share 1 second with someone rather than, committing to an hour-long phone call every night.
Yeah, what a difference 10 years ago. Because texting wasn't that big of a deal back then, and it would have been really expensive to head back and forth to Germany. Email's their best bet.
Yeah.
And to do that, they probably would have had to have a BlackBerry, to email anywhere that they were. Others that have to be at home or at work to be able to talk to each other.
So, James, are you suggesting they don't have enough rules, or they have too many rules to deal with a long-distance relationship?
I think they're trying to do too much of the wrong things and not enough of the little things. One is that they don't benefit from today's technology that allows you to do these little things easier. And the other is that I think if you were dating someone who lived in the same town, you wouldn't talk on the phone for an hour and a half every night. So
certainly not send care packages
across town. But you might spend every night with them, an hour and a half with them every night. But you wouldn't do it on the phone if you lived in town. Not if you're not a teenager living in 1995.
I'm saying my challenge is that replicating the in-person interaction with the phone is an error in judgment.
I agree that one is not the other.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, Ted's got it all wrong because he's even ignoring what Barney's suggestion of why long-distance relationships are great. He's not using any of the tips that Barney has suggested. You can have up to 5 or 6 of them, and then have your local relationships as well. So
yes, that would have made it work.
Yeah.
I think that's what Ted was missing in on. He got stir crazy. He didn't have anything else to do, so
right. That's my other point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was maybe tapped in a little too much to Barney.
That brings me to my other point was he was down at this moment in the story. He's down because he's changed his life for Victoria. He's not going out on a Saturday night doing awesome things. So he's already built a resentment towards her because he's made this change in his life and he doesn't want to.
Yeah, there could easily be some resentment going on there, which is his problem to deal with and not hers. But let's talk about the karaoke bar, because Ted finds Marshall, and I want to throw this out there. He says he feels like he hasn't talked to Marshall in a month, which is odd to me because Ted was really focused on Victoria when she was around. And it would make sense if Ted hadn't seen much of Marshall in that time when she was still in the States. But Victoria's been gone for a month. What has Ted been up to that he hasn't had much time to spend with Marshall? Marshall wasn't even working yet. I know he was doing his law school stuff, but he wasn't working at Barney Corp yet. What was he doing for a month?
I don't know. That line made sense to me because it sounded a lot like Ted saying, I felt like I haven't been part of the group for a month because I've been so obsessed with Victoria.
And the moping and the sitting around and the not doing anything.
They're
not going out.
Yeah, for me, that ties in with that is that it's not so much about the actual timeline. It's just that's another moment where Ted sets up he's not that into this anymore. He's not feeling Victoria.
Right.
Or at least not the circumstances with how he is with Victoria.
Yeah, because he even says that he has trouble remembering what she looks like. And I thought this was really interesting when I watched this, because I felt like this was a very 2006 problem. Much like we already talked about, like the text messaging and how the internet is different.
Face every day.
Yeah, it's like if if this were 2016, I mean, people walk around now with cameras in their pockets and have social media to post things to. Like, you can't forget what someone looks like because you can just go look at a picture of them.
Yeah.
Like, that didn't happen in 2006. That was not that long ago, and it was a huge difference. I actually remember that in 2007, I met someone, and then it was a week later that I was actually having difficulty remembering what she looked like. Like, this actually happened to me. And so I understand, like, what Ted's talking about. But that phenomenon doesn't happen anymore. You could just look at a picture of them anytime you want.
Well, you could ask Victoria to send a picture of herself in the next care package, or the one of the next 3 that will come before he sends his next one.
Oh, yeah. I bet those would be great pictures, too.
They would have been.
Yeah.
They would have been if he hadn't blown it.
When Ted and Marshall are talking at the bar, I feel like Ted is trying to dissuade Marshall from how Marshall's viewing things right now with taking on the new job and things that don't last. Ted's basically just talking to himself.
Yes, yeah.
And Ted convinces himself that what he's saying is right, and Marshall takes the other approach. What Ted says inspires him to say, no, you don't give up on things. There's always a reason to preserve things.
So, right, on that note, Marshall decides to preserve his relationship and palms the DJ some sort of denomination, and DJ cuts Barney off in the middle of his song.
Yeah, and he starts singing the special song for Lily, and they seem to make up. So I guess Marshall taking the job is okay, as long as Marshall's not a douche at home. That's how the story ends there.
Yeah, I guess that's a pretty reasonable compromise, though.
Yeah.
That's
pretty much exactly what you asked for 2 scenes ago.
Like, make the money. Well, I mean, they do need the money.
At home.
Yes, don't be a douche. Right, she already said that. As long as he agrees to not be a douche at home, then she'll probably be okay. But they need the money, so it's not like she can really say anything about him not taking the job.
Yeah.
He'll have plenty of time to save the planet. So Ted comes home early, which early in this episode is 2 a.m. or right about. And he's expecting the phone call from Victoria. The phone rings, so he freaks out and answers it. It's actually Robin, and she calls. Invite him over. So
it's the juice invite. 2 a.m. What do? Go. One of them's in a wheelchair.
Yeah, but we'll have to get to that next week. So, we got a lot of guest stars. We got Brian Callen as Bilson.
Who played Gary Blauman?
That was Taryn Killam.
Diane Salinger Vasquez as Dr. Birdbath Vaseline.
That was, you mixed those names all up real good. So, we got Tyler Peterson as young Marshal.
And Gregor Mans as the karaoke DJ.
Right, he has one line, so it's a credit.
Marshmallow and Lily Bag.
Right. So this is the first time that we get to see Blauman and Bilson.
Yeah.
Hooray.
Yeah. Those 2 douchebags.
Blauman turns out to be an okay guy later, but that's like 8 years down the road.
After he took a piss on the table.
The barely important crazy fan theory, I bet Barney made that story up. I bet that never happened. He's the only one that was there.
Didn't Barney also imply that he was murdered?
Yes! He said that he was murdered! And he shows up later at his wedding.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure if we can trust Barney on this one.
We can't trust anyone. Because these are stories through Ted, through Barney. A story from Blauman and Bilson from A long time ago.
Yeah,
God,
2006, 24 years prior.
I want interdimensional television so I can watch the series where Blauman, it's the bumbling adventures of an interdimensional traveler. And Blauman keeps accidentally going to Earth number 237 and dying.
Peeing on tables. Why does this keep happening to me?
Oh, jeez. So it's also the first time we see Barney's office. Won't be the last.
And the continuation of Marshall and Lily's conflict about money and the environmental law firm versus corporate law firm issue.
Right, which has been going on for now 2 episodes.
Yeah. Back
to back, though, I suppose. So we've got the karaoke place. That'll come back next episode because the next episode takes place 5 seconds after this episode is over.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do the character motivations. This episode, Ted was wallowing because Victoria is better at long distance than he is.
Yeah, it's just damn true. Robin is trying to be a good friend to Ted with his strained relationship.
I feel like she, until the end, didn't necessarily do anything to, like, sabotage the relationship. Like you're saying in Cupcake, like, she was trying to give Victoria just, like, a gentle push.
Yeah.
Just, like, could have, like, breathed on her funny, and she could have, and sent her off to Germany. Whereas this, like, she's not trying to do that with Ted. The only thing that even comes off to me like she's trying to sabotage things is when she says, that the email's probably nothing bad, but yeah, I wouldn't get a ticket to Germany. But actually, both of those things are like positive things to say. The email's probably not bad, but no, that Germany thing was a stupid idea anyway.
Yeah,
so, I don't think she's trying to steal Ted away, and I don't actually even think she's trying to do that. Probably pretty irresponsible of her to call at 2 a.m., but Ted doesn't have to go over there, and he does. So
yeah. Lily is concerned about Marshall being fake to fit in. It's like peer pressure.
Right. They have a seminar on that.
Yeah, assembly every year.
Yep. So Marshall pretends to be a gorilla.
And I kind of like this because it does put Marshall in another setting, one we haven't seen before, where he's trying to be a professional now. So at least he's wearing the suit and he's in an office. He's sort of, like you were saying, he was a fish out of water here. So he's actually a little more vulnerable in a way. We haven't seen him before.
Yeah, and this is the first episode where like he gets a whole lot of development for just him. Like it's not about him and Lily.
Right.
And it's not about him and Ted.
It's so much of it has been Marshall and Lily as a unit.
Right.
And
or like the duel where it's about like him and Ted's relationship.
Yeah.
No, I think there's a nice offset too, is that for having some things developed for Marshall, it has to solidify what Lily's stance is on it. Like, I'm okay with you doing this amount or behaving in this sort of way, but if it changes how our dynamic works, I'm not okay with it.
Right.
Now something's weird. You're not the same person that I know. She gets a chance to do that. She's always the motherly character looking over the group.
Yeah.
And watching out for everyone, making sure they don't become something they don't want to be.
Right. And I guess if somebody's going to look out for Marshall doing that, it's probably got to be Lily, because I don't think Ted's going to do it. Barney's definitely not going to do it. He's encouraging
At least
it.
not right now. They don't have any sense of making sure people are staying true to themselves because they're all going through similar things. So.
Right. I mean, later in the St. Patrick's Day episode, Marshall has to do that to Ted, and says, like, we don't need another Barney. Stop trying to change into that person. And then Marshall gets to knock some sense into Ted. But in this episode, it's Lily knocking some sense into Marshall.
Yeah, so some growth on the relationship there as well, which has been pretty much peachy clean up till now, right?
Yeah.
There's the little scare in the Christmas, Thanksgiving episode.
Like with the
pregnancy scare
and a little bit of a fight there. But yeah, I mean, their relationship hasn't had much of a strain so far. They seem like they're rock solid, which is, of course, going to be all the more shocking when we get to the end of the season. That's a little ways down the road.
Yeah. At least preparing you for that. Barney, meanwhile, wants Marshall to stay at Ultracell, even though Marshall's not happy there.
Right.
So does Barney just want a friend at work, maybe?
I think he likes manipulating people, and he feels powerful when he gets people to do what he wants. So he tries to trick Marshall into staying at Ultracell by telling him that Lily's going to be unhappy or not have the quality of life that she deserves if you don't, work here. They don't even talk to each other when they're there, like, hardly. Like, they don't see each other very much. It's like, we don't work together, Barney. I work in legal, and I don't know what you do, which is where we get the second please. So I think it's about control.
So you think Barney's completely full of shit?
Yeah, and Lily didn't care. She already thought his package was big enough.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I think though, Barney does want a friend. Everywhere he goes, he needs some true friend.
I mean, maybe somewhere in the middle is he feels compelled to bring Marshall closer to him because of some sort of sense of wanting someone he knows closer to him, like physically, even if they're not, working together. At least he knows Marshall's close by if I need him.
Yeah, that I could see that.
Maybe I'm reading really into it.
No, I think, I buy that. He's at least around, even if they don't interact that much together. But also, like, I guess Ted's, even though Tori is not even around, and it seems like Ted does nothing but eat cupcakes all day.
Yeah.
Like, Barney and Ted don't have the kind of friendship that they had earlier in the season. So maybe he's trying to pull Marshall in. They're like, well, Ted's useless right now until he breaks up with Victoria or does something stupid enough to have her break up with him. Until then, I guess Marshall's my new buddy.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
This is new bro.
For broing's on.
They can't bro about town, so you can bro about work. You have something in general about the show you'd like to say, Dan?
This episode in particular, there are a lot of similarities to Friends. Great show. It starts off with...
No, go on. I'm going to...
yeah, I know.
Yeah, like, I'm going to have James cut this anyway.
Maybe just cut it.
Tell us more about how the show's like Friends, MotherFan.
Yeah, no, it's...
Tell us more about Friends.
Good show, though.
Yeah, no, I think that'll work.
Thanks for having me, you guys.
Yes.
It's been a real treat.
Thanks for being here.
So it's been fun. We've enjoyed this hell out of this episode, folks. We hope you enjoyed it, too. Let us know what you think by tweeting at me at HIMYM_James.
Tweet steak sauce at him.
Yeah.
So, like James was saying, each week we get so much out of discussing the episode. We really enjoy doing this. We hope you enjoy it, and also please share it.
Hey Dan, MotherFan, you're a fan of our Facebook group page.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I know about it.
So
yes, no, I am a fan.
So it's facebook.com/group/HIMYM Superfans. You already know this, of course.
Yeah, no.
So and you've left us a message there before.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So thank you very much for supporting the Facebook page.
If you like the show, the best way to help us out is to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. You don't have to write a review.
Instead, just tell us about a time you pretended to be something you were not for anthropological purposes.
For science.
Yeah.
And give us that 5 stars. It really helps us with getting discovered and helps us grow our audience so we can keep making the show.
And since we're coming to the end of the first season, if you want us to cover season 2, tell your friends about this show. Like us on Facebook, hit the share button when we post an episode. That really helps us out.
So, special thanks to MotherFan Dan for stopping by.
Thank you for having me. It's been awesome. Really, really awesome.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Catch you on the flip. What puppets?
Snap-a-doo.
Either one of those. Those will both
I like
be fun.
that.